Looking for some inspiration? You've come to the right show. Step into your divine feminine energy with me as I spill the tea on leadership and life. Hi, I'm Tracy M., your host here on Brave Girls, and I've got your back, and no mean girls are allowed. I've been called the fairy godmother of storytelling, and my gift is to unearth people's stories, share them, and make the world a better place for all of us. So sit back, relax, and listen in as we send some more positive vibes out into the universe. Enjoy the show. Welcome to Brave Girls with Tracy M. I'm super excited to interview Dr. Tabbs today and bring her onto the show as a season opener as we talk about caring and our role as women in the community and in the world and in life as leaders. Dr. Toni Boulware Stackhouse, she is somebody that got referred to me from a guest from season 1, Christina Royster. And Dr. Tabbs was in the process of opening not her first location, but her second location of Life Matters Wellness. And she is a clinician, and counseling is her jam, along with many other things. And we're going to get into sort of how she works as a therapist in the world, what her beliefs are, what she's here to bring out into the world, into the greater world. She's done a lot of research around disparities and minority mental health, as well as just how to heal mentally and emotionally. And you know, we've all been through sort of the pandemic, trying to come out of that. And so I just want to welcome you to the show as a professional, as a PhD, academic, licensed social worker, all the things, Dr. Tabb. So welcome to the show. And
thank you, Tracy. I'm excited to be here with you. It's a pleasure to meet you. And it's a pleasure to be here with you to do the show. Thank you for inviting me here.
Yeah, well, I just feel like now is a really good time for people like you to get some visibility out into the big webosphere, around some of the things that you're seeing, some of the things you've learned, some of the things that you're trying to bring out into the world to just help people cope with the craziness of the world. And yeah, so just talk a little bit. You have 2 locations now, you have a staff of clinicians. You've got clients, you've got events. I saw you've got a caregiver retreat coming up. I got a couple people coming on. I have been in the season of caregiving. So just tell me, like, what are you doing out there, Dr. Tabbs?
It sounds like a whole lot, doesn't it? It's
It does.
a lot. It's a lot. It's a lot. So let me talk about kind of the trajectory and how I landed here. So I started my career working with individuals and families experiencing homelessness. And so in Baltimore City and Baltimore County in 2021, I ended a 25-year career working with that population, and I managed shelters in Baltimore City and Baltimore County, as well as programs, subsidy programs that assisted families and individuals who are experiencing homelessness. So that is my passion. While I'm doing the 25 years of working with this population of people, I discovered one thing to me that seemed consistent, and it really was the mental health piece. I think that a lot of people in this country, this world, we've all experienced different kinds of trauma in our lives. And I think the difference between us and those who are not able to maintain stable housing and employment really is our ability to be resilient and how we are able to overcome certain things that we experience in our lives. And it doesn't mean that some people experience things and some people don't. It's just the difference between how you know how to do it, how to make it through, and those people who are not able to find their way through. So I determined that I would return to school and get my degree in mental health. So I did that, got my master's degree, and then I did something real brave in my later life. Continued on to do my doctoral degree to get more work, to get more education in the field of psychology and mental health. And I feel like I wanted to equipped myself in a greater way so that I can help people in a greater way, which has been amazing. So in 2020, I opened my own practice right in the midst of the pandemic. And I started on a part-time basis because I was still actually working in corporate America. And so I started on a part-time basis, but because of the pandemic, oh my God, it was overwhelming. The calls, the referrals on a part-time basis was really, really bad. Like people really, um, during the pandemic, I think even people that didn't really believe in therapy and seeking help realized that they needed to do something, because I think the pandemic forced us all, we live in a country where we keep going and we keep going and we keep going and we don't really got to pay attention to what's happening in our lives. And then we have something that's global that causes all of us to have to sit still, and so you can no longer ignore what's happening within you and what's happening within your relationships, what's happening in your home. And so it was a lot of calls. And so I had to make a decision. And at that point, I had already determined that I wanted to do this on a full-time basis. But I was kind of nervous, going from having an employment, what we call a steady paycheck, to
Correct.
entrepreneurship.
Yeah,
Requires some courage, right?
it really does. I say that it's the best personal growth and development exercise you will ever do.
We will ever do, right? It's
Because
one of
you
the
jump and
yeah,
you have to say, is the parachute gonna open on my way down?
yeah, yeah, and you got to be confident in that. And so I did. I took a leap, a big leap,
Mhm.
and I have not ever, not one day, in the 5 years that I've been doing my own practice, ever said, "I wished I had never done this."
I can't even imagine. Well, first of all, kudos to you for improving yourself so you could then serve your population of people that need people like you. But then also the impact that you're having on a community that was maybe not served, underserved, didn't know they need to be served, all the things, right? And so, you know, I feel like we all kind of have like that divine purpose, and like everything that we do is a build to what we're really supposed to be doing. And so the fact that
Absolutely.
you had intimate knowledge of the homeless population and you're managing these shelters and you're seeing these issues, I too believe that there's a connectivity back with the mental health, but I also think we don't get a manual on how to process our trauma, whether it's big T or
Absolutely.
a little T trauma.
Absolutely.
And so you just, yeah, you just don't get that manual, right? And so, and even if you did, how effective are you? And so you do need that third party to come in and kind of help guide you through your
Absolutely.
journey.
Absolutely. So I find myself working with people who have done a lot or dealing with a lot of trauma. And so it's been real interesting. And then on that journey, my husband, after getting married, 2 years out, 2 year wedding anniversary, we had a destination wedding. We returned to Jamaica to celebrate 2 years. We returned home. And after we returned home, the same week, my husband suffered a massive stroke.
Oh no.
And yeah, the doctors were projecting that he wasn't going to make it. And I was utilizing my faith to say he was going to make it. And in fact, he has made it. And it's been some number of years now, but it caused me to have to be a caretaker. I had never seen anybody in my family, thank God, or my grandparents, everybody has been well enough, even when they transitioned, they
Mhm.
didn't need care. So I never even seen anybody have to care for anybody in my family. And so to be in this position, it was like, oh my God. So I had to kick it into high gear because here I am. I'm an entrepreneur. I have this business and I am now a caregiver for my husband. And it's like, what are you going to do? I always say to people, it's not about what happens to you in life. It's about what you're going to do. What is your response to what happens?
It's true.
And so I had to put my big girl panties on.
Oh, yeah.
Caregiver, yes, and
Mm-hmm.
became a caregiver for my husband. And I do believe you're talking about how we pay back our what we owe for being here. I do feel like I am doing what I'm supposed to do. But in God-like fashion, I started attracting people. I had not even started to advertise for caregivers at this moment, but I started getting a lot of calls in my practice for caregivers. It was real interesting. And so I started working with a lot of caregivers. I'm a caregiver, and I started noticing a number of themes that kept reoccurring with caregivers. Because the first thing I ask people when they come, what do you do to care for yourself? And people looking at me and they say, I don't have time to take care of myself. And so I'm doing all this
Yeah.
research, and I'm finding all this research, and research is showing caregivers, large percentage of them wind up dying or becoming ill
Mm-hmm.
because they don't care for themselves in the same way that they care for the people that they care for. And so now I got this message that I want to bring to caregivers. It's like, whoa, I know
Mm-hmm.
you got a lot to do, but you need to understand that if you don't care for yourself, you're not going to be no good to nobody. And I use the analogy that they do when, when we get on a plane, they say, if for any chance we should lose air in this airplane,
Right.
and
Put your mask on
and you
first.
put your mask on first, because you can't help nobody if you can't breathe. You can't help them breathe. And so I kind of use that analogy with my the people that I work with. And then I the Lord had given me a vision of doing a caregivers retreat. And
Mm-hmm.
so we did the first one 2 years ago, and it was amazing. We had about 20
Mm-hmm.
caregivers come out, and we had some clinicians. I put together a whole retreat, and it was amazing. They got a lot of it. I've never been to a retreat where everybody went to every session we had, and
Mm-hmm.
they I did a survey at the end of the retreat, and 100% said we needed more time. And so this year, our retreat is in November. We added a day. I eventually want to add a week, but I do understand the caregivers need help with, they need
Right.
respite so that they
Yes.
can stay for a week. So we just added one additional day this time, but just helping people kind of manage through traumatic experiences. A lot of people, I mean, besides us, we know that we will have to care for our parents, which is a blessing when they get to that age. But when life hits you and people become ill and it's unexpected, you got the emotional and the mental
Yes.
stuff that is attributed to that, while you are having to do the physical labor of caring for your loved one. And so helping people kind of manage through all of that, it's a lot, mentally, emotionally, physically, psychologically, spiritually, it's a whole lot. And so helping people unpackage that and
Mm-hmm.
be able to manage it in a way that is healthy for them is what we want to do. And so that's the vision of what I do. I wrote a book, trauma informed care for
Mm-hmm.
caregivers, and it's a book that helps caregivers manage from everything that they got to do for others and themselves as it relates to caring for other people. So that's the movement that we're on right now.
Yeah, well, I don't know, it's a lot, but you know what? I just saw, yeah, but I don't know if you know the statistic, but there's been a 45% increase in family caregivers just since 2015.
Wow.
And that there's 16 million of us
Wow.
that are in that generation of caring for either a partner, a parent, or a child. Sort of all the dimensions, right? And as women, a lot of times we are the leader. And so we have to embrace and be resilient and show patience and, but we are at risk of burning out, like you say, because if you're not putting your mask on and you're not filling your cup and taking the respite and taking the time out and getting some coverage from some other people, and then you got all the family dynamics of who's helping and who's doing all the work and who's not showing up and all those things that you're
Yeah.
dealing with, the family dynamics and systems. So, it's a burgeoning theme trend in the world and the country and in other countries. They have infrastructure already in place to multi-generational housing where they all live together, and you have people who are living far away from their parents, or their parents don't want to leave their house, so you got all these dynamics that are going on. And so I think it's great that, it's good for people to get one-on-one therapy, but also it sounds like you do a little bit of group coaching, like
Yes, we do.
counseling.
Yes. We
Yeah, as
have a
well as
support
these
group.
support
Yeah.
group. Yeah. So
Yeah.
you're
Once a
creating,
month, we do the
yeah.
support, come together and kind of lend support, listen to people, let people talk about what's holding them up in this current month and what they feel like they need to be able to move on. And it gives people it helps, like, people give each other ideas and things
Yes.
to do that you ordinarily wouldn't think about. So it's really helpful to people.
Well, and you're creating psychological safety, because I was talking to somebody the other day, and at work, sometimes you don't want to tell them what's going on because it can get used against you. It can be weaponized, right? And
Yes.
they may say one thing but do another, and or sometimes you have to pick and choose how much, is are you only going to say something if you're in crisis and you're in the ER, right? And not share, and then you don't have that psychological safety where you're working and you're trying to juggle all those balls. So it's good that you're creating that psychological safety where they can vent and they can get ideas and they can get the therapies and all that, because I think sometimes people kind of step into it thinking that they're going to be safe at work by telling them, being honest. And
Mm-hmm.
sometimes that doesn't always work.
Sometimes it don't. Sometimes it works against you.
It's you.
Yes.
So, um, yeah, and I think that's great. I think you've written a couple books though, haven't you?
I have. So the first book I wrote is It Don't Make Sense Not to Trust God. And that really is the testimony of me and my husband's experience, him having a massive stroke, and that journey and what we were able to see God do in us and through us in that experience. And it's really from a spiritual perspective, and it is a book that will help encourage people in their faith. Sometimes when things go awry or they don't go as planned, we kind of you allow that sometimes to take faith away from us or diminish our faith, when really those situations and circumstances are allowed to endow our faith and grow our faith. And so that's really what that book really is about, to encourage people in their faith, not to give up, and not sometimes we don't always understand and we don't always get answers to questions that we have about life, right? But
Mm-hmm.
in spite of that, we got to figure out a way to move forward and continue on with the life that we have. And so that's what that book is about. And then I have some journals, and so I have
Yeah.
another one,
Mm-hmm.
Manifest Your Vision Now. One
Mm-hmm.
of the
Love
things I
that.
do with people when people come to me for therapy, that's one of the first things I ask them. And they probably, I mean, a lot of people look at me like, what do that got to do with anxiety and depression? And I always say, give me a moment, I'm gonna tell you. When you've never met anybody who has vision for their life, be depressed or
Mm,
or anxious for anything. I'm sorry. Usually when you have a vision for your life, you
mm-hmm.
are not anxious or depressed. And so even though people come to me to deal with symptoms of anxiety and depression,
Mm-hmm.
when I start to talk to them about what's going on in their life, it's usually because they don't really have hope because of what's going on in their life. Whenever I'm able to turn those things around, help them turn them things around, get to
Mm-hmm.
thinking about the vision that you had when you were younger about your life. Why do you feel like you don't have a career? And what did you say you wanted to be when you grow up, and all of those
Right.
things. Get people start to thinking, people get to start and getting excited. They be like, anxiety, what? Depression, what? Because now they're thinking, and I'm helping them to understand that even sometimes when you get to a certain age, we think that life is over for us and it's too late. And
Hmm.
I'm like, no, this is a perfect time. You are empty nester. Your kids are away at college
Right.
now. Now is the perfect time for you to do exactly what you think is too late for you to do. And so, Manifest Your Vision, I do that event every year at the beginning of the year. It started off as a vision board party, but it's more than just a vision board.
Right.
We talk about what we're going to do for the year. We do create vision boards, but we also celebrate those things that we did the previous year.
Right.
It was like motivation for people. They look forward every year to coming because they were
Hmm.
excited about what they did and they want to share with people. And people make connections. They meet people. So I mean, people looking for like people who do grants, and people connect with people who work in government, different things. They make relationships. And out of that, I also do coaching for people who want to,
Right.
who need some assistance outside of. I want to do these things, but I don't necessarily know how to strategize to make these
Hmm.
things happen. So I have a coaching side of my practice as well. And that's where Manifest Your Vision come out. So in the book, Manifest Your Vision, it's just a step-by-step book that can help guide you through strategizing to make some of your visions come to pass.
Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah. No one who has a vision is anxious or depressed. That's a really good one. You should like trademark that because that's so true.
I
That,
know.
like,
As much as I keep saying it, I need to trademark it before somebody else.
yeah, yeah, because if you think about it, the person's in their current state, right? And things
Uh-huh.
aren't looking good. And so they don't realize that's just point A. And they got to know that there's a point B, but they need to shoot for the moon over there at point B, and that it's incumbent upon them to come to cast that vision. And
Right.
I always tell people, go back to what you were like when you were 12. That's who you really are. Like
That's
in
who you
sixth
are.
grade, that
Yes.
is your essence is
Yes.
you
Yes.
think back to what were your hobbies? What did you were you what kind of kid were you? What like you said, what did you want
Yep.
to be? What did you think would be the best thing ever? Like bring that back
And as
in.
soon as you get them to rethink about those things, they start to think you, oh, Dr. Tabbs, you're right. I said I was going to do this and I was going to do this and I was going to, even for caregivers that lose their loved one
Yes.
that they were caring for. I have a session that's called Now What? Because it's like when you are caregiving, you can think about all of the things you can't do, right? I
Mhm.
can't do this. I can't do this because I got to care for. It seems like when the loved one passed away, it's like now it's like, what am I going to do? Well, I'm going. Once I manage to get through this emotional piece of it, I'm going to do all of the things that I thought I would do before I got to be a caregiver. And then they start thinking again, that's right. I said I was or I was working on this, but for this part of life
Right.
interrupted me and I wound up having to put this on hold. It's like
Right.
sometimes we get tunnel vision and we forget about those things. It's like, and we need somebody to help jog our memory.
Well, and I'm kind of going through that right now because I was a very intense caregiver for my mother-in-law for the last 10 years, and I really, really sacrificed for 10 years. But I'm thinking now about all my back burner stuff from 10 years ago. I have forgotten it. I need to bring that
You need
forward.
to bring it forward and you need to think about it. And this is why I think the Bible was really um and wanted us to be intentional about writing the visions, because sometimes if we don't write it down, it does escape us and we don't remember.
Hmm.
But once we can write it down and we can always keep it present. And I always say to people, vision boards are not things that you do and put them away. The vision
Hmm.
board is for you to see it. So you create it the way that you need to create it and put it in your everyday life. Like I got some people who they got a little board that they keep in their car or they keep on
Hmm.
their mirror. Some people do the big
Right.
I do the big. I got a tripod, but I have it in my office. Every day I come in my office, that's the
Hmm.
first thing I see. It's a reminder to me that I have things to do, right?
Hmm.
There is something that keeps me motivated, because that's
Right.
what life is about, living life. Listen, when life is over, there's nothing else we can do, right? But
That's right.
as long as we have life, we should be motivated to make life beautiful for us. And I always say to people, that's our responsibility. That's not nobody else's responsibility to make life beautiful for you. Now, people add to our lives and make our life bring joy to our lives, but it's not their sole responsibility to make our life beautiful. That's our responsibility.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just a reminder to give, and it all works together. No matter what I do, I'm always talking to people about their vision for their lives. Like, what are you doing with your life? Even when you come to me and you say, I'm in the midst of a divorce and it's rocking my world, I get it.
Mm.
Let's
Right.
process through that emotionally and mentally. But what can life look like for you after divorce, right? What could that look like? Because this doesn't have to be the end of your life. So
Right.
helping people see that life is not over, even when things look dismal,
Mm-hmm.
is what I do. Not just for caregiving, but any situation that people find there. So people come to me that lost jobs, and it's a career job. They've been working for 20, 30 years. And it's like, I don't even know what else to do. And then
Well, and they lost their identity.
they lost their identity. And so then you got to help them find other parts of them to identify with and rediscover things that they can do in this season of their lives. I believe that certain things are just meant for seasons of our lives. And we got to be
Amen.
on the forefront to understand, like, when I go into another season, even though it looks different, it feels different, right? It's like you take my woolly blanket away, my comfort zone. And even though I go into a place that seems unfamiliar, it doesn't have to be dismal. It could still be good and exciting. But it's about my perspective and how I look at it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's a lot, but
It
we
is
got
a
to be able to
lot.
manage through it.
Yeah. Now, talk a little bit about some of the research that you've done around like people's reluctance to seek mental health because
Oh
you've
my goodness, yes.
like
So
yeah, what did you learn through all that?
okay, so mental health treatment. I have done research on cultural,
Mm,
based on culture. And I am in African American culture, and in my culture, we don't all have not always subscribed to mental health treatment. In our culture, days of old, meaning decades ago, we believe that if you sought out mental health treatment, that something was wrong with you, quote unquote.
like you're weak or something?
You weak. You didn't. Something was wrong with you. You weak.
Mm-hmm.
You don't
Okay.
know how to handle your life. The
Mm-hmm.
perception of it was just real, not good at all.
Yeah.
And
Like a stigma. Like a
it's a
stigma.
definitely
Yeah.
a stigma. And if you did, then your mental health had to be really bad. If you went
Oh,
and got treatment,
right.
it had to be really bad. So, what there has been a shift,
Mm-hmm.
and there has been a shift in two folds of culture. One of the culture is African American culture. The
Mm-hmm.
other culture is the church culture, because the church
Oh, okay.
culture is under the understanding that if I have Jesus, I don't need a therapist.
Oh, okay.
Yes. And so twofold that has really shifted in the last 5 to 10 years. The pandemic is responsible for a great distance of that.
Okay. Gotcha.
A great distance
Because it
of
threw
that.
so many people into it.
Absolutely,
Yeah. Okay.
absolutely. During the pandemic, I received a number of invites to come to different churches to talk about mental health. Because they kind of kept those things separate, you would have not heard of that probably 10 years ago, maybe
Right.
7 years ago.
Right.
Now it's a lot of churches and a lot of African American churches are making mental health like a part of their ministry, which is good.
That is good.
Pastors are preaching about it from the pulpit, saying it's okay, because the thought was, if I'm praying about it, then I don't need to do nothing about it. And what people don't understand is prayer is accompanied with something.
Yes.
Right? I
Right.
pray about something, but I'm praying about something as I'm doing something. Even think about it, if we have a health issue, I'm going to
Right.
pray that God heals me, but I'm going to go to my doctor and I'm going to see
Right.
my doctor
And you're
and
going to get your
I'm going to do what
surgery and
my
you're going to take the
doctor,
meds.
I'm going to
Right.
take the meds. I'm going to do all of the things that the doctor is telling me to do because I want to be healed. But I don't know why for mental health, we didn't see it as the same, but we are shifting in that direction. We're not at 100%, but we are at least about 70. We at the 70 percentage mark as it relates to that, and I do believe that the pandemic is responsible for that. It was a huge shift during the pandemic. I know that in the Caucasian culture, mental health is not a stigma in that culture. They having a therapist is a regular thing. Right. Like they have dentists, they have mental health
Right.
therapists, they
Right.
raise their children in that way. And so that is not a big, there is no stigma there in that culture.
Right.
And like it is like it
Yeah.
was in African American culture.
My question also is, like, I don't know if you slice this dimension, but like generationally, like the Gen Z, like the young kids that maybe like went through high school and college through the pandemic. I guess they were still really kind of inheriting like their grandparents and parents' views on that a little bit, but I don't know,
Not as much.
not as
No,
much.
not as
Okay,
much. No, they have their therapists on speed dial.
okay, and they're willing to go to better help and all
They
that and do
willing
all
to
that
do it. They willing to
on their
do it.
phone. Okay,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
No, for
yeah.
some reason, and I don't know if it's just their generation, but
Well,
they
that's
are
what I'm
very
thinking.
different. They are very
Yeah,
different, and
yeah,
they don't care. They don't care about what the stigmas are.
yeah,
They have them, and I think because they all feel that way, that it's
yeah.
really accepted.
It's
It's
okay. Yeah,
acceptable. Yeah, it's
yeah,
acceptable. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Well, and I think the other thing is the service that your two locations are really providing is that access,
Yes. Yes.
right? And
Yes.
so they can see somebody who looks like you and feel
Yes.
safe.
That's the
And
other thing that's
yeah,
important. People wanting to access services with somebody
somebody
that
that looks like them.
looks like them.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
100%.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. That's
Yeah, because
important.
it's like a shared
Shared experience.
understanding,
Yeah.
experience, and
Yeah.
they can talk
People
to you.
feel like they don't have to do a whole lot of explaining of certain things if I come to somebody who I share that with.
Yeah, 100%.
Versus
I
if I
mean,
don't,
yeah,
I got to tell you about my
yeah,
culture
exactly.
and
Which that's
then
like a whole
give
nother
you why I'm
thing.
here. Right, right,
Exactly.
right,
Like,
right,
let's
right.
just cut to the chase, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Well, and I love that you're using your gift to facilitate change, heal people. You're like a guide, basically, a guide, coach, mentor, all the
Yeah, I tell them
things.
I'm a facilitator of healing. I
You
facilitate healing.
are.
Yeah,
You are. You
yeah. And I
are.
tell them they got to do the work too, and showing up is a part of it. I tell people all the time that therapy, counseling is accountability too,
It
because
is.
you come to me, you say what you want to do. I'm gonna hold you accountable to that.
Yes, because you're going to ask the next session they come in. We
Absolutely.
talked about blah, blah, blah. How's that
Yeah. And you
going?
were supposed to do
Do
such and
something.
such this week. How did that go?
Right.
And sometimes people are like, oh, I didn't get a chance to do it. And I'll give you one time. All right, you didn't do it this week. Let's do it now. And then the next, but by the time you say you ain't do it like 2 or 3 times, then I'm saying, let's talk about whether this is something that's important to you.
Oh,
Because
that's a good
now you're
question.
showing me that maybe now is not a good time for you
Mm-hmm.
to do therapy because like I said, I can see 1 week not being able to do it, but 2 or 3, then now
Mm-hmm.
you're saying that this is not a priority.
Mm-hmm.
And you said when you came to therapy that you wanted to make this a priority for your life now. Now, if it's not now, it's okay. You
Mm-hmm.
can always determine that you'll come back at another time. But
Mm-hmm.
if you're going to do therapy now, you got to do the work.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes people do it now, and sometimes they say, all right, I'll come back another time. Sometimes they come back, sometimes they don't. But they got to understand that it's their work to do. And Dr. Tabbs is not, I'm going to work as hard as you work, but I'm not going to work harder than you work.
Well, they have to want it.
They have to want it. They have to want it.
You
And if
know,
I don't hold
you
you
want it for them, but yeah.
I want it for you, but I want you to want it for you too.
Yeah, more than you.
More
right?
than me, yes.
Yeah. Because you already know what the benefit's going to be to them.
Absolutely. And I talk to them about the benefits. Like, I'm not talking to you or trying to help you do something that I don't believe in, right? I've done therapy myself because, like I said, my husband had a massive stroke. I had to deal with my own emotional and mental anguish as it relates to that because I was still a newlywed and my husband was healthy. So it wasn't like he was ill. This wasn't something that we were anticipating. So I had to deal with it from that perspective. Like, wow, something really major just interrupted my whole life in a way. Like I said,
that wasn't in the script.
no, me and my husband I was in our 40s. So we
Right.
weren't thinking about 47, 48. We wasn't thinking about, we were traveling the world.
Right.
Cruising and all of that. Wasn't even thinking about that. So yeah, I had to, but they teach us when we're doing our training to make sure that we always have a therapist and we do our work as well. So I would not ask people to do something that I don't believe in and not doing for myself.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So I kind of go into the vision question. I mean, I feel like you're just getting started, Dr. Tabbs. I do. I mean, I think it's awesome that you had like the every 2 week paycheck and the managing of the shelters and everything to form your foundation, but then
Yeah,
you took it upon yourself to, you observed all this trauma that people had, the connection with the mental health. You went and you improved yourself to get a little bit deeper. You kind of niche down, but you've got kind of a lot of things that you can offer people. But like, what is your vision? Because I see you as sort of that shining light and beacon of hope for the community and through your lived experience and what you're here to share and to teach.
absolutely. So my vision ultimately is to open a center where we have all of the therapies, services to provide, where it's just one stop place where people could come and they can get massages and they can do meditations.
I love it.
And they can do music therapy and they can do mental health therapy, all of those things that will help people get centered. They can also meditate and pray. A quiet space. Sometimes people just need a place where they could just go sit and just be quiet and be still and not have a whole lot of interruptions. That's ultimately my vision, in a place where it invites people to come to be able to experience the mental and emotional calmness and peace that they need. People don't understand how much not having that impacts our lives in a major way. If you're not mentally and emotionally well, it impacts so many things.
It does.
Housing stability, employment stability, relationships. A lot of the people that end up in shelters because they don't have good relationships. And they don't have good relationships because mentally and emotionally they're not well. And so they don't know how to manage those relationships in healthy ways. Sometimes they've not seen healthy relationships. So it's different things for different people. But I think we all have one thing in common, and that's that need to be emotionally and mentally well. And that goes across all cultures.
It does. And all generations.
And all generations.
And all, gender and all of
all
that.
gender. Yeah.
It's like the human experience, and it's like the whole mind, body, spirit. And we've gotten, I think, over time, just in my lifetime, away from all of that.
Yeah.
And it's like we're like trying to bring it back in, right? Like, and to, I love that you're like a trauma informed coach and therapist, and you understand sort of all of that. It's unfortunate, but I feel like we all kind of have some trauma of some form before we were 7, and we probably don't even remember what it was. But and it doesn't even have to be like something really like, graphic and salacious and horrible and all that. It could just be being in a household where there's a lot of, domestic violence that's physical, or,
Absolutely.
you know what I mean? I mean, just
Absolutely.
witnessing that as a child. Um, so I love what you're doing. I really do. And I love like how like you've written these books that can kind of be like breadcrumbs for people to follow. And
Mm-hmm.
then
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I love that. I
I
love that.
enjoy the work that I do, and I'm glad that I'm doing what I was created to do.
Well, and that's just it, right? Like you've sort of curated an experience for people to have with you and your team. And then as you see it, almost you're very like it's like you have that spidey sense that, oh, I need to go over here and help people with this, right? And then create some wraparound service experience, whatever it is, book, workshop, retreat, that they can then come to. And then I think that's the other thing, is sometimes people just don't know how to access some of this stuff.
Right, right. So getting visibility and getting the information out to people, absolutely. Absolutely. I
Yeah.
think that's the number one problem, access.
Yeah, well, first of all, they have to want it, right?
That's true.
Which
That's
you've
true.
already identified that's been a cultural barrier. So I love that you're going in and talking to people in the church, and that the ministers are preaching from the pulpit about that, and
Absolutely.
breaking down, like, just like you said about the doctor analogy. I mean, it's so true. It's like, well, you can pray all day long, but like if there's something clinical you need to be doing, and the counseling is clinical, just like the physical
The
stuff.
physical. Yeah. Yeah.
And so, just making it make sense to people,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And
Making it
then
make sense.
making it make sense, then making it so that they know where to go, right? And then once it's sort of like you got the horse came to the water, but that's where, like you were saying, they might come into therapy and you hold them accountable, and they don't drink, right? But they're standing there looking at the trough,
Right.
and then but
And I have to remind them I didn't come looking for them.
well,
You
that's it to me. Yeah. Yeah. And you know where to find me if this isn't the right time.
right.
So lovingly.
Timing is everything though. And I say that to people too. If now is not a good time, it's okay.
I
You
love that.
just have to find what is the good right time for you. And
Right.
I'll be here when you feel like it's the right time.
Right.
Timing is
Right.
everything.
Yeah. Tell me about a story of like, and you don't have to use names or anything, but like where you had great joy in your heart after the person had worked with you, like to really overcome something, or they had like a major breakthrough.
Okay. Yeah, I have a number of them. I want to talk about one of my caregivers who um, he's a man, a pastor, and his wife had early onset
Mm-hmm.
Alzheimer's, and he came to me. I thought when I saw him on the screen, he did virtual. When I first saw him, I thought the man was going to have a stroke. He was such in
Oh.
disarray, trying to care for his wife. He was a pastor of a church. They had some teenage children. Um, and I was so afraid for him. Probably like the first 5 sessions, I was afraid for him. And I had to really talk to him, and I had to really have conversations with him about his self-care. Like I
Mm-hmm.
had to push self-care. I think that it's easier for women to understand self-care. I think it's more challenging for men because men are fixers, and what they want to do is fix whatever the problem is. And that don't necessarily mean them, right? They don't
Mm-hmm.
necessarily want to fix
Right.
them.
Right.
So it probably was about 5 or 6 sessions that I really had to say to him, sir, if you don't do something about your life, something is going to happen to you. And I'm just afraid. I told him, I leave these sessions with you, and I'm not so sure you're going to return to the next session because I'm not sure that you hear me, but you got to do some things for yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And he kind of broke down crying. He didn't really understand like how to even do that with what he was doing for his wife. So I had to help him get some other services for his wife. Like he got his wife into an adult day program,
Yeah.
which was
Give him some
give
respite.
him
Yeah.
some respite. Yeah. He called adult daycare services, and that's how he found that. And I told him everything that they have to offer, you take it. They
That's
also
right.
had the people that could come inside the house and give him a couple of hours on the weekend so that he could do some stuff. I gave him services on laundry service, people that would come in the house and take laundry out and do the laundry and bring it back.
Right.
Gave him, you can get the house cleaned.
Right.
You could get groceries sent to the house. So he had to get stable with some of those things. And then turns out this man had been he had a kidney transplant.
Mm-hmm.
His sister had given him a kidney, and he had gotten himself into a situation where, and the kidney was beyond its, they say you get a
Yeah.
kidney, it lasts 10 years. It had been almost 20 years, but because he had not been taking care of himself,
Oh
he had
no.
got himself ill.
Right.
So once he was able to get his wife, and I could see it like all over his face. He was
Mm-hmm.
an African American man, but very light skinned.
Mm-hmm.
He was very red when he came on. Like he just
Mm-hmm.
looked like so
Not a healthy person.
not a healthy person. Barely breathing, like shallow. When we first used to start, I used to tell him we're gonna work on just taking deep breaths.
Mm-hmm.
And I would have him do that for 5 minutes. I said,
Mm-hmm.
because you're not even operating with the full capacity of lungs, oxygen in your lungs, because you taking shallow breaths. So
Mm-hmm.
I worked with him on that. Got him the services he needed that would free up some of his time. Then he started going to his doctor's appointments and
Good.
keeping up with, because he wasn't keeping up with his stuff. Then
Mm-hmm.
come to find out he needed to return to get on dialysis.
Analysis. That's what I was going to say. Yeah, that's where I thought that story was going, which
So
is
he
what,
got
three
back
times
on.
a week, and
Yep, he got back on dialysis 3 times a week, and but he started to look better, and he
of
started
course.
to enjoy the time. He didn't feel guilty. Like first, he was feeling guilty sending
Right.
his wife away, and so we kind of worked through that.
Yeah.
He looks so good today. Now I will say his wife has since passed.
Right.
But even in that, by the time she passed, and I think that if she had passed before he got into a good place, he wouldn't have been good.
Right.
But he looks amazing. And
Mm-hmm.
he continues to take care of himself. He's on the list to get a new kidney. But now he has gotten to the point where he was trained at the hospital. He do his dialysis at home by himself.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So they starting to do that now, and he does that.
Wow. That's amazing. That's a great
But he's
story.
good. He takes care of himself. Yeah, he makes his self-care a
That's good.
priority. And that's the only message I want all the caregivers to know. Whether it's taking a nap, whether it's taking a walk, whether it's just saying no,
Mm-hmm.
whatever it is, because for everybody it's different.
Yeah.
Helping people understand what they need
Yes.
so
And
that they could,
yes,
and what everybody needs is different.
it is different, but that's great. I love that. I love that. And yeah, and it takes time, right? Like
It takes time.
you didn't get him there in one session. Like
No,
it's a
but I'm telling you, he had
conversation.
me a little anxious. Every time I would get off the camera, I would say a prayer because I would be like, I don't know what's going to happen to them. And by the time we got to that fifth session, like I said, I had to have a come to Jesus meeting. Like,
Mm-hmm.
you have, like, this is no longer this is not a suggestion.
Correct.
This is something that you have to do. And he literally sat on the other side of the screen and said, I don't even know where to start. I said, when is the last time you had your doctor's appointment? He said, I keep missing it. I said, I want you to make a doctor's appointment.
Yep.
And I said, I want you to make it at a day and a time that is convenient for you. And I don't want you to miss it.
Right.
Nobody gets to let you miss this appointment at all.
That's
And
right.
that's where he started. He went to the appointment and, they do the tests and the numbers is off and this is off. And then now they got to do the work to get everything back together. And thank God they were able to do it. But it
Mm-hmm.
started with me having to say, like, I'm not saying to you this just to say these things to you. You got to do them.
Right. Right.
But and we often laugh because he's still in therapy. His wife died about 9 months ago.
Mm-hmm.
And he's still dealing with the grief of it now.
Oh yeah. Oh
But
yeah.
he's doing really well. He looks
Mm-hmm.
good. He's
Mm-hmm.
doing well. And so now he's just waiting to get a new kidney. But
Mm-hmm.
that's one of my success stories, one of my many success stories.
Yeah, I'm sure you have many. I'm sure you have many. So let me ask you this. What is the bravest thing that you have ever done? And it sounds like you've done a lot.
I have
What is one that kind of stands out that really like you did it, it took a lot of courage, and like you look back on it and you're inspired that you voted for yourself.
I've in this stage of my life, I'm going to say becoming an entrepreneur.
Mm-hmm.
Because you think about during the pandemic, nobody knew what was happening, what was going to happen, how it was going to. So
Right.
I felt like taking that risk was a double risk because we didn't
100%.
know what was going to happen, right? And every day, like even as my practice grows, and I got two locations, one in Bel Air, Maryland, and one in Owings Mills, Maryland. I think about when I go and put the key in the door. I've
Yeah.
done a lot of things to help a lot of people, a lot of the companies, nonprofits that I work for. I did a lot of building for them.
Mm-hmm.
This gives me inspiration, and it inspires me because this is my legacy. And every time I stick the key in the door, it's like, wow, this is mine. And I
Mm-hmm.
am doing this every day. And I thank God for the grace that's on my life to be able to build and to be able to leave legacy in the world to my kids and my grandkids. And so I am inspired by that.
I love that. I
Yeah,
love
I
that.
took a chance on me.
You
I
did.
did, and I don't regret. There is not one day. Now, when I say that, that doesn't mean there are not challenging days, but
Oh,
they have not
100%.
been challenging enough to make me say, I wished I had never done this. I am very ecstatic that I did that. I wish I had done it sooner in life, but we do it when we do it, right?
That's true.
And
It's
so
in due time,
in due
right?
time. So yes,
Yeah.
I'm ecstatic about that. That's probably the bravest thing. I've dealt with a lot of fear in my life,
Mm-hmm.
early on in my life.
Mm-hmm.
But I say to people that fear is not really a factor until you allow it to stop you,
Oh, I love
because
that.
fear is going to be there. I think
Mm-hmm.
courage comes in when you're able to do it anyway, even though in
Mm-hmm.
spite of the
Yeah.
fear. And that's why I always say to people, do it afraid. Just do it anyway.
I love
So
that.
when I put my notice in after I had talked to my husband, when I put my notice in, I was afraid. I'm not going to act like I wasn't, because we were all dealing with this pandemic and didn't know what was going to happen in this world. But I did it afraid. I took the courage and I did it anyway. And I'm 5 years later, going on 6 years, and it's growing.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm excited about it. I know that we still got a lot of more growth to do
Mm-hmm.
and to experience, but I'm excited about the journey.
I love that for you. So if people want to get in touch with you, what's going to be the best way for them to kind of track you down on the internet, basically?
Yes. So our website is www.lifematters.com. And that's life, LIF, and then matters, MATTERS, FOR, life at .com. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, we'll put that in there. And then I think
Okay.
you're also on LinkedIn, so they can follow you
Yes,
and the
I'm
stuff
on
that you put out there.
LinkedIn,
And
Dr.
I saw
Toni
you on
Boulware Stackhouse.
TV.
Yes, 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 yes.
Yeah. So
I'll be
you're out
getting
and about.
around. I'll be getting around.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I just want to thank you, Dr. Tabs, for coming on the show, kind of telling everybody kind of your story, as well as kind of what you're out there doing today and what your research has told you, and kind of where you're leaning in to help other people and to serve the world as a leader in many ways, really, in the faith community and sort of in so many dimensions, right? And creating that safe space for not only caregivers but other people that need to seek help and to really, become healthier in the mental health space and, deal with their emotions and their trauma or whatever it is, process their emotions because we just don't get taught those things.
Absolutely. I appreciate you, Tracy, having me on your show and helping me get some more visibility. I appreciate it.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Anybody that's a friend of Christina Royster's is a friend of mine. I've known that girl forever, and I adore her. I think she's a rock star.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so, well, thank you so much. I wish you the best of luck. Hopefully, I can meet you in person.
Yes, that would be good.
Would love that. I would love that. So, we'll get together at some point. So, thank you, Dr. Tabs. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening to today's episode of Brave Girls with Tracy M. I hope you found a gem or two that will motivate you to change your mindset, pursue your dreams, and fulfill your soul's purpose. I believe that we can go farther and faster when we connect in the spirit of positivity and understand how we individually can serve humanity. The world needs more love, so keep shining, ladies. I can be found on my corner of the interwebs at tracym.com, and I'd love to connect on social. Just Google me and my SEO will tell you more about what I'm up to as I step into my purpose as a storyteller. I love you, brave girls. Now, it's time for you to step up your game and become the best possible version of you. I believe in you, and you've got this.